This is school.
You just heard School by Cub Scout Bowling Pins, and we're here with Travis Harrison, the legend. How you doing, man?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. This is a huge deal for me. Like, I'm a big Guided by Voices fan. This is like super. I see you as a member of the band, as I'm sure many people do.
Well, thanks.
For sure.
Cool.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. Well, it's good to be here.
Yeah, man. So if you could like describe yourself for everyone listening, so they know exactly who you are.
I'm a man and a music man. I'm a recording engineer and a producer and a musician, drummer from New York. I'm working in New York City. And for the past few years, I've been working super closely with Guided by Voices, but throughout my career, I've worked with lots of artists and just kind of doing it every day.
Very cool. Very cool. So where should we start talking?
Let's see. That's your call. I don't know. That's totally up to you.
What's like the latest projects you've been working on? I know you said you were finishing up a Guided by Voices album.
Yeah, that's the latest. We just finished the next one. GBV tends to operate, a couple in advance. So
wow. So that's done now.
What's that?
You just finished that?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's in the works. And then but the next one is Tremblers and Goggles by Rank, which hasn't come out yet. That comes out later this summer. There's been 4 of those songs have come out so far.
Yeah, and they're awesome. I love the Unproductive Funk.
Unproductive Funk.
Oh my god! And what was the beat?
No Love.
The other one with that?
Who Wants to Go Hunting?
Who Wants to Go Hunting? I feel like a lot of Guided by Voices stuff is in the phrasing. Like,
oh, totally.
No one does it like that. No one.
Yeah, Bob's a genius of phrasing. Every time he lays lyrics into the music, it's always in a very natural and very kind of compelling way. It never feels like the emphasis is on the wrong syllable.
It's always new and fresh. Yeah, for sure. It really is.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm like always trying to get people into Guided by Voices and stuff. Like,
well, that's good.
Sure. Yeah. What would you tell people to listen to first?
It's different for everyone. You can't really push Guided by Voices on someone who doesn't have a love for rock and roll. So that's a prerequisite. It is a rock band and embraces a lot of the values and the styles of music that came out in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. So, like if you have somebody who's like really familiar with that kind of music, you could kind of tailor your recommendations towards what they're into. If they're into The Who, there's a bunch of Guided by Voices songs that kind of evoke The Who. If they're into more indie rock or already kind of have a taste for, the lo-fi, well, you've got the greatest, catalog of, I guess, lo-fi indie rock that exists.
For sure.
If you have people who are into more big rock stuff or more kind of modern sounding stuff, there's a whole catalog of stuff that could satisfy that. If people are into more prog, there's plenty of prog stuff, or if
Oh,
they're
yeah,
more
man.
punk, if they're just punk kids, you can make the greatest mixtape or a Spotify playlist or whatever playlist of just the punkiest GBV nuggets. So
It's
you could
very
kind of
true.
go in whatever, you know, you kind of just, I feel like it's also very successful. You get somebody to go to a show with
Okay,
an open mind, because it's pretty unbelievable.
for sure. Now, let's see. What other bands, like what you just said about, could you describe any other band like that?
No.
Yeah, none.
No, I
Crazy.
think GBV just kind of exists so only in its own
Oh yeah.
universe. And yeah, it's just, I don't know. I mean, there's plenty of music that goes into Bob's influence tank that's well known. You know, he loves Wire. He loves, you know, The Who. He loves the Beatles. He's the most incredible record collection of anybody I've ever met in my life.
Wow.
He loves tons of obscure you've never heard of, and that he'll hip you to. But as far as anybody else that kind of sounds like or does what Guided by Voices does, I don't know. It's kind of just, I mean, it's rock. There's other people who do the same kind of genre, but Bob's like kind of in a weird way is an island unto himself.
Oh, yeah.
And you know, he's made 120 plus albums so far,
That's crazy.
or something like that, depending on how you're counting. If you count all the live albums and kind of thing, you know, it's like it's insane.
Yeah, when you lose count of like how many albums you've done, that's when you've done it right. I think that's awesome. How'd you like?
We've done 14 since 2016, I think. But then
Yeah,
if you count the
that's
side
insane.
projects,
That's insane.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's since, well, I guess 2017 is when August by Kate came out. Yeah, I mean, it's just wild. But Bob, when he's in a creative groove and he's inspired, then that's great.
Oh yeah.
I mean, and he always kind of is inspired. But when he gets into a groove and a period of work, he can just kind of just stay inspired for a long period of time.
Oh yeah. No, like I don't think their work ever really slowed down too much. Did something trigger this wave with you though? Because this is like a super productive time.
I think it's just good chemistry of
Okay.
the members of the band, and good chemistry in terms of the moment that it happened, like the timing for everyone, in the sense that Bob had the classic lineup reunion going, and Guided by Voices, which hadn't performed at all, as there hadn't been a Guided by Voices since 2004. So that had come back, but then that lineup kind of disbanded, and Bob reclaimed the name Guided by Voices as his own, really, when he did the album Please Be Honest,
Okay.
which was just totally a solo piece by Bob. Really, he played every instrument and did everything on the record, but called it Guided by Voices.
Oh
And
wow.
then it was just kind of like a reshuffling of like a reset. So now it's Guided by Voices. It's just it always had been whatever Bob says it is, and
Yeah.
it was just been Bob. But now it's just kind of like, oh, that's the way it is now. And then the kind of new lineup kind of started to come after that, and they needed to tour that album.
Okay.
So yeah,
I want to ask how
Kevin
you.
came back.
Oh, would you say Doug came back?
Mark and well, yeah, Kevin came back, and Doug didn't come back at first, but Mark and Bobby joined the fold, and then after a couple of months, Doug was back in the fold, and then it's been that since 2016.
Wow.
And yeah, it's been, I think, the longest running lineup so far.
Another insane guitar player. Now, like Guided by Voices,
Doug's the greatest.
Yeah, it's so weird because they're the best. Like I'm sorry, like I don't think. I think it can be like undisputed, honestly. Like there's proof. But
Yeah, there's proof. You're
how
right.
did you get into that universe? I know I've listened to other interviews with you and they've talked about it a bunch of times, but like what led up to that? Because obviously you've been recording your whole life, right?
So. I met Doug. Doug moved to New York in the late 2000s, whatever that, the aughts. And we just kind of met through through playing shows. He was playing
Okay.
shows with his solo band at that time, and I was playing shows with my band at that time. And I'm a huge fan, so I kind of just like, oh, dude, it's so amazing to meet you, and kind of like, it was also back in the days of MySpace, so I think we exchanged a MySpace message or something.
Okay.
I just became kind of friendly with Doug, and that led to working on this album called "Waving at the Astronauts" by Lifeguards, which is one of Bob's other side projects, and this one's just Bob and Doug writes all the music, and Bob would put vocals on top. And they only had one album called "Miss King Earth," which I think came out in 2002, or 3, 2, 1, somewhere around that area. And I loved it. I mean, I just played the crap out of that record. And so I was super stoked to be able to help them. I had a studio, the same kind of thing I'm doing now, just in a slightly different location. And so I did that, and then kind of became friends. We really became friends. And then I went up playing drums in Doug's solo band years after that.
Okay,
and with Mark Shue. And so then we all just became really great friends. And so it was just when the time was there, then the team was pre-assembled.
Very cool. Paradise is Not So Bad from that album is like,
you like that one? I love it.
Oh my god, it's incredible. The
Yeah,
whole
it's
album.
a hit. Bob wrote some great lyrics. Doug wrote some killer music, and I remember Bob came to do. That's the first time I met Bob, was when he came to do vocals for that. He came to New York, and it was a fucking great experience. It was really fun. Yeah, it was really fun.
That's wild. Like, how do you keep up with all the songs they're throwing at you, because you're also recording other people's stuff? I've noticed, like, a lot.
Yeah. Well,
yeah. So it's like, wow, he does a lot of guided by voices, and then like I looked at the other albums, like, oh my god, how's he do all this?
Yeah. Sometimes we just get so into it. I think sometimes it just kind of flies by. It's not like, doesn't feel like work a lot of times. But Bob is he's the engine. He's everything. So these records kind of like, sometimes they kind of morph along the way, but very often they come out fully formed in demo form. And it's just him playing acoustic guitar and singing into his boombox. But he will arrange and edit things in such a way how he likes it, and then he'll send us the demos. And it's really just a process of the band applying their skills to the blueprint that's there. And then they kind of run with it in their own ways. But there's always that blueprint, which makes it very like solid. So we never have to second guess or worry about things. It's just like, we're just following this blueprint.
Wow.
You just follow it through. You come out at the end, it's like, what the hell is it? It's like, wow.
I bet
structurally the songs are always really interesting. So that's part of the way the blueprint thing's really fun.
Yeah, I never heard of that either. Like someone just like demoing the entire album, like solo acoustic, like having the whole album. And he puts so much trust in you guys, right? I mean, because he's not telling people what to play, right?
He does. He does. Well, it's a good process for Bob, because he's not he's not a studio rat. That is where the classic kind of records came from. He didn't like want to sit in some studio he's paying for all the time and like sit there and he's quick, so when he got to the basement and started working lo-fi and in that world, it like highlights this like sense of time. It's like, oh, we're just grabbing this moment. And so, but sometimes when you make records and you're trying to make them remotely, and you're trying to make them sound big and powerful, you can't just always just have, okay, we're just going to get together and just play through the stuff and it's going to sound great and it's done. It's just physically impossible. So it's more of a slow motion process sometimes. I mean, whatever, we take a few months to put together a record, but Bob doesn't have to worry about, sitting through multiple sessions and doing things. He's writing, he's being an artist, he's focusing on that. And so we can focus on playing and producing the records. And then, so that's how it's kind of like we can follow the blueprint. We're focused on our roles.
Okay. So like is Cub Scout bowling pins kind of a similar approach, or are you just getting vocals for that? Is that what that is?
We just get vocals. That's kind of just a fun uh, experimental side project, really, that Bob came up with the idea to do, and we were too super stoked to do it. It's just kind of he'll a cappella vocals into the boombox.
That
And
sounds super difficult. Like, did that take really long to figure out, I imagine, or no?
Well, for someone like me, yeah. For someone like Doug, I mean, yeah, I mean, he puts a lot of work in, but he's just got such an incredible musical ear that Doug can kind of like music, you know, he just kind of hears it and like it becomes music.
Wow.
But it's such a fun, rewarding process, yeah, to kind of just go through that process, trying to fit music to melodies that are just kind of like hanging in the air. And Bob has structure that he's implying through his phrasing, sometimes the breathing, and like the whole, you can kind of like get a sense, oh, he's kind of feeling this kind of a beat, and he's kind of feeling, and it's all kind of up to interpretation, but that's the fun of it. And we did one album and one EP. This Cub Scout Bowling Pins.
Oh yeah, I got them for sure. I love Crystal Known Cathedral. Oh my god.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's not much I don't love. I don't think there is anything new that you've done, honestly, that's not incredible. And it's weird. Cool. It's like, you know, like people at Bob's age are not doing that.
It's true. It tends to be true, but Bob's not people.
No.
I mean, he is. He's a normal guy, but he's not. He's like extraordinary artist. So he's working on like just on a different level of inspiration. Like he's able to just kind of tap inspiration all the time, where like a lot of other artists have just certain filters and things that they kind of send things through. Bob has his own filters, but he never cuts himself off from just being inspired, ready to make something, ready to feel something, and you know, create. So that's, you know, that's a gift. You know, it's really unique, and that's the one of a kind. That's the magic sauce there.
So you guys, like, you record everything in New York, and he's in Ohio sending vocals, or like, are you all together?
There's no set rules to it. We do it in all kinds of different ways, and so that's the fun of kind of the process. We kind of, there is a certain process, but like we get there in different ways all the time. And a lot of times Bob will have an idea that kind of pushes us down a certain path, or just circumstances, you know, like perfect example, COVID. Okay. You know, COVID happened. We're like, okay, we're going to be doing this all remote, you know? And so we just kind of roll with the punches and just adapt to the different situations, because the truth is, even in ideal circumstances, yeah, I mean, it is a lot, especially with the band touring. I travel with the band mixing from a house, so there's a tour schedule, there's a family schedule, there's all this stuff, there's, you know, other kind of obligations of life, and then we have this really like highly productive creative thing. So we need to, you know, we have to try to create systems.
Wow. Oh, it's super inspiring. Oh, I actually played with a band you recorded once, Castle Black.
Oh, hell yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah. Great. Which I didn't even realize. And it was in like some
Were you in the band then?
Did
I meet you? No. Did I meet you?
No.
Or you weren't in the band then? Right? No, it was just, I don't remember. Yeah.
No, I wasn't in that band. I played a show with them.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
Gotcha.
And I didn't realize it. And it was in like a random little dive bar, and they came from New York, and there was like some kind of issue. I think they like forgot equipment or something. But I saw them. I was like, oh, that's a small world.
Yeah.
Pretty strange. I'm in New Jersey.
Cool.
So
yeah.
Yeah, man.
Nice.
Do
you
want to talk about like your band and stuff?
Well, I mean, the Unsacred Hearts. Wow, that's great. That's super cool to get the chance to talk about the Unsacred Hearts. My best friends who I grew up with out on Long Island. We grew up in these two little neighboring towns, Bayport and Blue Point. And we just went to school together, and they're the dudes that I had my first band with, and we kind of just always stayed really close. And you know, we never gave it up, but we all kind of like went on to do other things, you know, and kind of always come back to it. So it's just always just been a constant for like I mean, honestly, it dates back to 1995.
Really?
So it's
Wow.
I mean,
Awesome.
just a creative relationship with Joe Willie, who's the singer and the lyricist and like our kind of main man, and then Dave Siegel, who's our guitar player I played with forever. And
Okay.
yeah. So, and then yeah, just there's a lot of other people who come through and play with us through the years. And we kind of squeeze out an album every few years.
Awesome. Now, do you guys like play out a lot or no?
Oh well, not. I mean, we used to a lot in the 2003, 4, 5 time period. But yeah, over time we all got married and got on with our careers and our other musical things. But we've always kind of kept it going.
Very cool.
You know, no matter what, we've always kept. Even a lot of times, these recording projects are the thread that we just kind of keep on working on. And yeah, we're working on a bunch of new stuff now too. So
Oh,
it's
nice.
cool.
So it's
It
always
was
going. Okay.
a nice creative partnership with like
Very cool.
true friends, lifetime friends.
Let me know if you guys are playing. I definitely want to come out.
Sure. Well, maybe we have to now we're going to come to play for an audience of one in New Jersey.
For sure.
We love the Jers.
I'll bring my mom.
I'm pro Jers.
Yeah, good. Yeah, so I don't want to keep you too long, man, but do you have any advice for people? Because like you're in a really cool position and you're probably, I imagine you look at everything you've done like damn, like, I don't know, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, I guess the advice is I don't know, that's pretty hard to give, you know. You gotta first of all, you gotta be kind of crazy to embark upon a career doing this. So it takes a certain like level of delusional thinking, which a lot of times can be really painful, you know. But every once in a while, you know, something works out because you don't stop. You just got to keep on going. It's definitely you know, it's definitely something that people get discouraged early on, you know, if they're trying to do a career in music or even trying to just like establish not even a career, just like a successful creative path. You know, it's easy to get discouraged, especially if you have really good taste and you know, you're you know what awesome is. You're like, I can't really find a way to do something that's awesome enough to make myself happy. Then you just kind of like give up. And that's probably something that I would advise people to not do, is give up, because you just got to kind of push through stuff and trying to find a way to stay inspired and, you know, balance thinking and not thinking, you know.
Oh yeah.
Because if you're thinking, you're stinking.
I love that. But I wrote this one song using a Robert Pollard quote, which was like, just keep banging your head against the wall with nothing to show for it.
There you go.
It's like such a beautiful quote.
Totally.
I love that. But
that's
like,
great.
so you apply that philosophy to your life, I imagine, right?
Well, I mean,
well,
to a certain extent, like
you were getting
you can't get discouraged if things don't happen for you right away, you know. Because it's when I really started getting involved in this very cool collaboration with the band and Bob. I was around the age that Bob was when he came to be more publicly known.
Okay.
Right around that B1000 moment or whatever.
Yeah.
And I always kind of would, leading up to that moment, being such a huge friend of Bob, fan of Bob's, and then eventually a friend. But he's always like an inspiration, right? Because it's like, you know, you're living like a normal life. You know, you're trying to deal with having a job and also maintaining a creative life, you know, and you know, being responsible and doing the right thing, but also kicking it. And he's the guy who, when hundreds of thousands fail, he's the guy who totally nailed it, you know. Sure. It continues to, you know, so like, how inspiring is that?
Yeah,
You know?
it's wild. I mean, I just look at like people that like I've grown up with that age and stuff, and I'm like one of my favorite people on earth is like your age. Just, like I don't know, like what are you
Yeah.
doing?
Right. And it's like inspiring to everyone. Like if you're super young, like it's inspiring because like you could look at it and be like, well, I'm not making it yet, but like, you know, I got all this time,
Oh
you
yeah,
know, to kind of build my thing and like get it together. Or if you're like middle, you know, get like kind of the age I was when I was like 36 or 7 or something. When I
okay,
don't know what,
yeah,
I'm 42 now, so whatever, math.
yeah,
Uh, but you know, like if you're around that zone, you're like, well, you know, I can't give up because you know Bob kept doing it, you know, and Bob, you know, and then even if you're you know someone who's getting on to the next stages of life, you look at what Bob's doing now. Like I don't know if anybody's seen the shows this year, but Bob's kicking more than ever. Like physically, he's super athletic guy always, but he's back like
wow,
totally super amazing performances, and the whole band is so well oiled at this moment.
wow.
So
Yeah,
I
it's
don't know. It's
super
pretty
inspiring.
inspiring to
Oh yeah,
the Social Security collecting demographic as well.
yeah, for sure.
Because
I'm
who else is going to kick that?
no one, no one. I'm 28, man, and like I don't want to say I've failed, but like when you're like 28, like pumping out music and no one's listening, like it hurts at a certain point. And I swear, like I
Of
found
course.
Guided by
Well,
Voices
that's what.
at the perfect
Totally.
time. You know what I mean? It's like when you're like, oh,
Yeah,
it
for
doesn't
sure.
matter. Like as long as you're making music.
Yeah, and you know, there's also a lot to learn from what Bob does in terms of just kind of the mechanics of what he does, because he's able to write music like at a really high level of quality. It's like, why? What is he doing? What are the components? What are the, you know, just there's a lot of room to analyze
Yeah.
his songs and the melodies that he like super effortlessly that a lot of other people would never in a million years come up with one great melody, where Bob's got the default for every part on every song, vocal part is probably a pretty great vocal melody going on.
Oh yeah.
They just pop. He just opens his mouth and they come, you know, it's not even he's embarrassment of riches. So yeah, I mean, but there's a lot to analyze there, and then what chords they go over, what's going on, and then the kind of, you know, just on that level alone, there's a lot to learn from.
Yeah, I imagine it just comes from like an insane love of music, right? I mean, it's fandom, I guess, comes through everything, and spirituality meets.
He's the biggest fan of records. Biggest fan of records you'll ever meet.
Wow.
I mean, just worships rock, man. It's like, and like every morning plays a record, headphones, full attention, you know, gives it full focus, like a meditative practice, you know.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Active listening, yeah,
awesome.
for sure, full on, all the time. That's why he likes to listen to music, you know, and that's, I mean, I think that's what he hopes people will do with his stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, we do. We're out here living proof. But I don't want to hold you too long, man. I know you got more records to pump out, so I can listen to them.
Yeah, gonna be pumping them.
I'll let you go, man. Thank you so much for talking with me.
For sure. Yeah, it was great to meet you, and hopefully I'll see you down the line somehow.
Yeah, for sure. Especially if your band's having a show, let me know. Or if I come out to a show, you do live sound at all the shows, right?
Yeah, you come and say hi to GBB.
Yeah, I'll run up.
I'm always there.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, man.
All right,
much
dude.
Appreciated.
Silver is tied upon my sleeve. street. Small town, chain again, fell asleep, and I slipped from between the sheets back into the street. Yeah. The bootlegs we stole became soundtracks of days.